Chapter 24. Mortal Sin. I need to speak to you, Vladimir, about the conditions under which you would be able to get your money from banks when you have a lot in your account. Oh, it's interesting. Go ahead, Anastasia, tell me. It's a pleasant procedure, I remarked. Though the next moment the words I heard made me burst out. It is unbelievable. Just read and be my judge. Anastasia proceeded, whenever you decide that you need to get money from your bank account, you should do the following procedure. First of all, 3 days before going to a bank to get your money, you should not drink alcohol. When you arrive at the bank senior official is supposed to carry out the inspection, under this condition, using an instrument specially designed for this purpose, in the presence of not less than 2 witnesses. As soon as you are through with the above-mentioned procedure, you are ready to start with a second one. You should drop curtsies not less than 9 times in front of the bank senior official and those 2 witnesses present there. When the sense of these conditions had reached my consciousness, though I would rather say the senselessness, I jumped up and she stood up too. I could not believe what heard and asked again. First they will check me regarding the presence of alcohol, and after that, I am supposed to drop curtsies in the presence of witnesses not less than 9 times, am I right? Exactly, was her reply. For each drop they can give you a sum of money not more than 1 million in your currency under the up-to-date value. I was overwhelmed with feelings of anger and frustration. Jay, why have you said this? Just tell me why. I was so happy I trusted you. I have even started to believe that you are right on many things, that there is logic in your conclusions. But you. Do you realize that men do not curtsy? They bow. Only women curtsy. Now I am convinced that you are a schizophrenic, a forest fool, a crazy one. You have crossed over by your last statement. It is senseless, and the bottom line is there is no logic in it at all. Do you know what? It is not only my opinion. Any clear-thinking man can prove it to you. Ha. Maybe you would like me to put these conditions of yours down into the book you want me to write? Yes, I would like you to do it. Well, I am quite sure now that you are not in your right mind. Are you going to write a special instruction, or maybe an edict for banks? No, I am not. They will read the book and all of them will act accordingly. Otherwise, they will face bankruptcy. Oh God. I cannot believe that I am still listening to this creature for the 3rd day in a row. Maybe you would like the senior officials to drop curtsies also together with me in the presence of the witnesses? It would be a good idea for him to behave exactly the way you will. It would be of great use for all of them, though I did not put them on these kinds of terms as I have done in your case. Does it mean that you have demonstrated such favor only for me? Do you have any idea what kind of a laughingstock you have made of me? Now anyone can see what could result if one is loved by a crazy hermit. Just remember, nothing will come out of your tricks. Not a single bank will ever agree to serve me under these kinds of terms. It does not matter how much you try to model your situations. Look at her. She is lost in her daydreams. I tell you, right here, where you belong, you can drop curtsies as much as you like. The banks will agree and, even without your consent, will open accounts for you, though I should add, only those which are willing to work honestly. Moreover, people will trust them and become their customers, continued Anastasia, holding her ground. Anger and irritation were accumulating in me more and more. I was becoming rude and nasty, to say the least. She was standing leaning her back against a tree trunk, her head slightly bent forward, one hand was pressed to her chest with the other one which raised as she was waving slightly. I recognized that gesture. She used to did it when she was trying to calm down the environment. She was protecting me that way, so I would not get scared, and I realized why she was calming down at that time. Any rudeness or offensive word directed towards Anastasia was hurting her like a whip, making her body wince. I shut my mouth, sat down on the grass again, turning my back to Anastasia. I decided that I would calm down, then go to the shore and never speak to her again. That was why when I heard her speaking behind my back, I was incredibly surprised as there was no outrage or reproach in the tone of her voice. Don't get me wrong, Vladimir, all bad things which are happening to man are being attracted by man. This happens only when he is violating the laws of spirituality and losing contact with nature. The dark forces are trying to mislead man's attention by the momentary attractiveness of your technocratic being. To make you forget the simple truth and the commandments which were set forth for humankind long ago through the Bible. They do succeed very often. One of man's mortal sins is arrogance, and a great majority of people are prone to it. Right now, I am not going to speak about the great baneful influence of this sin on man. If you would like to learn more about this subject when you come back home, you will be able to understand it yourself, or with the help of enlightened people who will come into your life. Right now, I have to say only that the dark forces, as opposed to the light ones, are using every moment in trying to cultivate sin so it could stay with a man, and the most important instrument of their efforts is money. They invented money, and now money exists as a high-voltage zone. The dark forces are immensely proud of their invention. They even think that they are stronger than the lights just because they had managed to think up money. The great opposition has been lasting for thousands of years and man is in the center of it. I do not want you to be held liable for this sin since I do understand that nobody can manage to overcome it. All kinds of explanations that have been given to humankind have not worked out, as man has not recognized the right way to resist this sin. You too would not be able to realize it naturally by yourself. I would like to help you to get rid of this mortal danger of spirit spoiling, and that was why I had thought up especially for you a special situation in which this mechanism of the dark forces looks as if it breaks down, and it works quite the contrary, it eradicates the sin. That is why they had become so mad at me. Their anger moved into you, and that was why you started to shout at me using insulting words and expressions. They wanted me to get angry at you, but I will never do that. I have realized that my invention had just hit the mark, and now it is quite clear to me that it is possible to break their perfectly adjusted mechanisms. These were working without a hitch for millennia. It was my first experience till now. I have done it only for you, but I shall also think up something for other people. Well, what is wrong if you drink less of this intoxicating potion, and not become an arrogant and obstinate person? What has made you so excited? Surely it was the arrogance which had leaped inside you. She became quiet and I became thoughtful. It was unbelievable and extraordinary, or better to say a comical situation. Whatever one can call this squatting or curtsies at banks, which her brain could invent. Anyhow, her mind has logged a very deep meaning into it and, to tell the truth, there could be a logic to it. Of course, it requires one to take a closer look at it, I thought to myself. All kinds of ill feelings towards Anastasia were gone. They were replaced by a feeling of vague guilt, though I did not apologize at that time. I only turned towards her seeking peace,